Okay, so numerical reductions. This is very similar to yesterday's stuff, except for now instead of working with like x, 180 minus x, or whatever, you're just working with a number. But it's the exact same principle. Okay, so what you're trying to do is, if you look at a normal angle drawn in the first quadrant, looks like that. It would be theta. Okay, now if the angle is over here, right, this would be your whole angle, but this over here would be theta. Remember I said to you, you're always looking for, you're interested in the angle between the line and the x-axis. That is how you reduce it. Okay, and then what changes is the sign of sine or cos or tan. So like for example, this is CAST. So for example, if it was cos and it landed up here in the second quadrant, you would change it from this big angle to the little angle, but then cos itself would become negative because its sign is positive in the second quadrant. Okay, I'm talking in the air a little bit, so let me give you an actual example and then you'll see what I mean. So this is sine of 215, okay? So basically anything that's, remember this is 90, 0, 180, 270, and that's also 360. Anything that is larger than 90 needs to be reduced to an angle that fits over here. In other words, it's smaller than 90. So what you're going to do is exactly the same as the previous stuff. You ask yourself, which quadrant? So which quadrant does 215 fall into? Well, it's not here because this is 90 to 180. This is 180 to 270, so it must be here. I'm going to draw another sketch over here just so you can see it nicely and get another color. Okay, so let's say here 215 is, because this is 180 and that's 270, so it must be in between here somewhere. Okay, so this is a big angle, goes all the way like that, but we are going to reduce it to an angle that fits over here. We're going to reduce it to a smaller little angle. So if I'm trying to get from 215, let's say this is 215, and I'm interested in the gap between 215 and 180, all I'm going to do is say 215 minus 180 to get this angle over here. Okay, but importantly, before you do that, you need to establish whether sine is positive or negative in this quadrant. So this is tan's quadrant, so sine will be negative. So it becomes negative sine of whatever this little angle is here between the line and the x-axis. So all I have to do is take a calculator, say 215 minus 180, and I'm going to get 35. So it becomes sine, negative sine of 35. And that's the answer. That's how you reduce it. So it's very simple. For example, the next one. The first quadrant is the first question is which quadrant? Where is 120? Okay, remember this is 90, that's 0. So 120 must be between 90 and 180. So let's say 120 is here. Okay, so this is my angle over there. But remember, you are interested in the angle between the line and the x-axis. Okay, so what's the first question? The first one is tan positive or negative here? Here, tan is negative. So your answer is definitely going to be negative tan, and then it's the angle between this line and the x-axis. So you're now going to say 180. Okay, so here's 180 and 120. So the difference between them would be 180 minus 120. So 180 minus 120 would be 60. Just so you guys know, remember before we had those, remember this was theta, this was 180 minus theta, this was 180 plus theta, and then this was 360 minus theta. I don't want you guys to get confused with this. I mean, if you land up in, let's say for example, this quadrant, and your angle is 215, I don't want you to think now it's 180 plus 215. You're looking at the difference between the 215 and the 180. This whole angle is 180 plus theta. That's where that little plus. So you're actually trying to find the theta. If this confuses you too much, don't be concerned. All I want you to know is that with the previous stuff we did, where it actually gives you like 180 minus theta, or I'll show you this stuff. With this stuff, 180 plus theta, 360 minus theta. With that stuff, you're going to look at this. You're going to look at the 180 minus the 180 plus, and you're going to decide which quadrant, and then you just change the sign. Okay, but you don't, and then you just make it x or whatever the letter is they've used. But with this one, you're actually trying to get the angle in between the line and the x-axis. They've given you a numerical value. Okay. Alright, next. And by the way, you can use your special triangles to simplify that further. Okay, so cos of 360 is where? 320. 320 is where? Here's 270 and there's 360. So it's going to be here. This is going to be your angle. Now, it's like your whole big angle looks like that. But you are interested in that little angle. Okay, so what is cos over here? Cos is positive. So you know that it's going to be positive. And all that's left for you to do is to find out that angle. So now, you're looking at the difference between 360 and this is 320. You're looking at the difference. So what is 360 minus 320? 40. Okay. So if your angle, once you've minused, does not land up being smaller than 90, you've obviously made a mistake. The whole point of this is to reduce it to something that's smaller than 90. So it's simple. Okay. Alright. So sine of negative 200. Remember I explained to you, you need to now be careful. So this way is positive and that way is negative. So let me just write in the numbers. Okay. So you are going negative 200. So 0 all the way to 270 is negative 90. Remember these are like blocks of 90. So this is 90. Then that's 180. So negative 200 is going to fall over here somewhere. So let's just say this is negative 200. That's where we're going. Okay, so now your angle forms like that. But what are you interested in? You want that angle. So it's between 200 and 180. What's the gap between 180 and 200? It will be 20. Okay, so what is cos there? Cos is negative. So your answer here is, oh sorry, it's sine. They're looking at sine. I looked here. Sine. Sine is positive. So it's positive sine of 20. Okay, by now you should be getting this. If you want to just pause the video and then do the last two on your own and then just check the answer afterwards. Negative 120. Remember this takes me to negative 90. That takes me to negative 180. So negative 120 must be here somewhere. Okay, so this is your full angle, but you're looking at this one. So the difference between 120 and 180 is 60. You with me? Okay. And then also remember CAST, cos is negative, so this is negative cos of 60. Okay. Tan of negative 189, negative 189, here's 180, so 189